This is very similar to the MK Ultra thing, where it's just a lot of secret government projects or whatever. So you got Project Sign, established in 1948 by Air Force General Nathan Farragut Twining, and it was initially named Project Saucer. That's probably an acronym for something. Sexy aliens undulating with
sensations endlessly on repeat.
Yes, thank you.
I'm pretty sure Twinning was one of the members of the 12 as well. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you said, yeah.
The goal of the project was to collect, evaluate, and distribute within the government all information relating to UFO sightings on the premise that they might represent a national security concern. Then in 1949, the U.S. Air Force publicly released a paper prepared by the Intelligence Division of the Air Materiel Command. The paper stated that while some UFOs appeared to represent actual aircraft, there was not enough data to determine their origin. Almost all cases were explained by ordinary causes, but the report recommended a continuation of the investigating of all sightings.
Project Signs. You telling me Mel Gibson was involved with this?
I think so. I think that's a big part of it there. But yeah, so Project Sign, that's a pretty big deal. You know, I mean, there was a legitimate like government investigation into what was going on here, and it's kind of just like the MK Ultra stuff again, where it's like back then they're like, we don't know, let's check it out. Like, might as well. And you know, you don't know how dangerous it can be. You know, again, they were doing the MK Ultra stuff because it's like, okay, our enemy might be able to do MK Ultra stuff, and so they're trying to figure out what's going on here too.
Right. And so this project got shut down, and it's kind of regarded as, it says, you know, more mythological than real. But it says that Project Sign was followed by Project Grudge after a conclusion that,
which is right next to it,
right, that UFO reports could be exploited by a foreign power to induce panic in the population and were therefore a military issue in post-World War II Cold War climate. So yeah, this led Project Grudge to publicly disparage all UFO reports as a result of misidentifications of various conventional objects or mild form of mass hysteria and warners or individuals who fabricate such reports to perpetuate a hoax or to seek publicity. So that seems like where it came from, where they're just starting to shut down all talk of it, which I mean, in a sense, it makes sense, because and that's kind of why we're so hesitant to even think any of this new stuff is real, because it's like, all right, what are they up to? What's the government up to now that they're like, things are so bad that they're like, UFOs, I don't know if aliens are real, let's go, like, just like, don't focus on the price of eggs, it's UFO time.
Maybe the UFOs will start dropping some eggs from the sky. Okay, which I had a thought earlier. I was like, what if we meet an alien race and it's like the fish people or something, and they're like giving us a tour of their facility and all that, and they're like, yes, and this is where we birth the young ones. Would you or would you not look at that shit and potentially be like, that looks delicious?
What, aliens, like, it's like caviar?
Yeah, right, bro.
But like giant caviar?
You just can't stop yourself.
Aliens being delicious in more ways than one is something I'm very concerned about for humanity and
That's
for
true.
myself. Because
well, then what if they think we're delicious?
It goes both ways,
That's why
we're a little crunchier potentially.
Yeah,
but,
maybe. I don't know, man. Like, who
I
knows?
believe
They
in
got are we talking about a boneless species, bro?
Talking about Jello critters, bro.
Yeah.
Jello cretins,
blobs.
It's tough.
Well, I mean, it's different unless we're like pulling the embryos straight out of people. You know what I mean? They at least have the decency to push them out of themselves first, and then they go about the rest of their lives.
Right.
Right.
So Project Grudge was intended to alleviate public anxiety over UFOs and persuade the public that UFOs constituted nothing unusual or extraordinary. Right. And UFO sightings were explained as balloons, conventional aircraft, planets, meteors, optical illusions, solar reflections, or even large hailstones. Project officials recommended the project be reduced in scope because the very existence of Air Force official interest encouraged people to believe in UFOs and contributed to a war hysteria atmosphere. It's like, well, maybe if y'all didn't have a big ass war, there wouldn't be so much fucking war hysteria. You ever think about that?
But they wanted to.
Yeah.
But you wanted to.
Project Grudge issued its only formal report in August 1949. The report's conclusions included: A, there's no evidence that objects reported upon are the result of an advanced scientific foreign development, and therefore they constitute no direct threat to the national security. In view of this, it is recommended that the investigation and study of reports of unidentified flying objects be reduced in scope. See, it's like, well, does it affect our bomb making abilities? No, and then I don't give a fuck. Like that's kind of just the approach that the military and our government has taken with it, where it's like
that's one of those things where they say one thing and then do exactly the opposite, and this is how we've gotten to where we are, where they're like, oh, it's not a national security threat, let's just overclassify every single piece of information related to it,
right.
And
that's really
the public will never see it.
That's really the problem here, is the lack of transparency. You know, your imagination runs way harder when you don't know what's going on, and that's what's fueled this, you know, to become such a cultural phenomena, you know, that it is, you know.
Well, I think the frustrating thing too is that we just don't know like that much. It's hard to know. Like, how could we know? It's not like you can just go to the aliens and study the aliens like you can go and study the depths of the ocean or fish and different species. Like,
which we still haven't even done that much.
It's hard to get actionable data about any of it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but what do I know?
Okay, so that leads us to Project Blue Book. So the code name for this systematic study of UFOs by the Air Force from March 1952 to its termination on December 17th, 1969. The project, headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Project Blue Book had two goals, namely to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security and to scientifically analyze UFO-related data. Thousands of UFO reports were collected, analyzed, and filed as a result of the Condon Report, which concluded that the study of UFOs was unlikely to yield major scientific discoveries, and a review of the report by the National Academy of Sciences. Project Blue Book was terminated in 1969. The Air Force supplies the following summary of its investigations. 1. No UFO reported, investigated, and evaluated by the Air Force was ever an indication of a threat to our national security. And 2. There was no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represented technological developments or principles beyond the range of modern scientific knowledge. And 3, there is no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified were extraterrestrial vehicles. And so by the time that Blue Book ended, they collected 12,618 UFO reports, concluded that most of them were misidentification of natural phenomena. 12,000, dude.
That's a lot.
Or conventional aircraft. Okay, we're stupid. I mean, dude, we've seen fucking UFOs. Just on a average night of stargazing, you'd be like, oh, what was that? That was weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe we're dumb. Maybe it was a weather event. Maybe it was just a meteor.
Well, there's a combination of, it's like a combination of both, I feel like. You know, there's probably a lot of sightings that are super anomalous, and there's a lot of stuff where it's like crazy shooting star that exploded type shit, and it's just like, okay, that's that. But most of the stuff where it's like the bizarre movement, that's the real kicker, you know. It's like everybody sees like really weird lights and shit happen too, but it's like, yeah, when there's some erratic wild movement that just doesn't make sense, like, that's when you know you're seeing some shit.
You know when you see it.
Yeah.
You know
Definitely.
And it says that the UFO reports were archived and available under the Freedom of Information Act, but the names and other personal information has been redacted.
Yeah, man. So that's crazy.
Again.
And so all of that was before Sputnik, because again, Sputnik was the first time it came. We had an actual satellite even happen, you know, go up. So that's kind of crazy. Back in the day, you couldn't be like, it's a satellite. You know what I mean? You couldn't, like, back in the day, there, you know, because there wasn't satellites like that. Like, they didn't have, you know, they used radio towers still.
Right, because this was, like, kind of a big gap in time. So Sputnik was, this was first
57.
in 57, 58. So, yeah, it was the first artificial Earth satellite launched into the elliptical low Earth orbit by the Soviet Union in 1957 as part of the Soviet space program. It sent a radio signal back to Earth for 3 weeks before its 3 silver zinc batteries ran out. So this is just an unmanned satellite, you know. Sputnik.
Yeah, no, this thing made people freak out though too. You know, I could totally get why the government's trying to be like, shut up about UFOs when USSR has a satellite already and we don't yet.
Right.
You know, they're probably
because this was like 10, 15 years after that. And I guess, I don't know, I guess it was like the early 50s, late 40s that they started getting. Oh yeah, 1949, Project Grudge. So.
Yeah, but Blue Book went on for another
1952, right.
52.
Right,
So
right.
again, you see even here though, they're like they already said like there's no UFOs, but they're still double checking like 4 years after to conclude.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, and maybe this kind of ties into the whole moon landing conspiracy too, in a way where it's like, what did all this NASA funding go to if we never actually did make it to the moon, and it was just like, you know, maybe it was like a facade that they were just dumping all this money into looking into all this other alien shit that they just didn't want to tell us about, but they were just telling us that it was going towards NASA stuff or whatever while they were just filming shit in on a soundstage.
The idea is that when Nikola Tesla died and the United States government seized all of his assets, which was in the early 20s, that's where the secret space program started, and they started really doing all this shit because, you know, he was one of the foremost under, you know, in the entire world who understood, you know, the power of electromagnetism and rotating magnetic fields. So
Right, because they basically just stole all of his
yeah,
writings and, you know, discoveries or whatever, and just like, we'll take that.
yeah, but I think that's a little far fetched as
Right.
far as things really are concerned. But
Yeah, but we're getting, you know, we like to go there.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And
So
then we
just
got
keeping it real. We're not gonna get through this whole board here. I don't think we're already at an hour and a half here too. But it was interesting. This one's Carl Jung had some theories about it too, which is a real interesting one. Carl Jung is amazing actually. Yeah,
Shout
so
out.
that's kind of the one people. He was like one of the first people to really put it out there. It's like this could be just like a collective consciousness kind of phenomena going on here.
right. Yeah, and we had to just like some other like sightings or whatever.
Well,
There's,
no,
like,
this one too, and then these
Betty and Barney Hill here.
they were the first people who said they got abducted by aliens. They were the first people to ever report that they got a.
Look at that dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
But
Look at him. You know he's lying. You know he's lying.
His name is Barney, bro. What's Barney even short for, dude?
yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. This poor,
Yeah, I know, right?
this poor interracial couple got harassed by aliens, bro. It's
And no
messed
one
up.
believed
Hey,
them.
man, love to see it. You know, back
Yeah.
in those days, I know it was hard. So.
It's different, bro. Even the aliens were fucking with them, bro. Like, come on, that's tough.
They're like, we believe in love and aliens. They probed us, actually. Is that what happened? Did they get probed?
I don't know. Here, let's read this one, and then you guys want to maybe save the rest for another video.